contrast to Malala Yousafzai, the Nobel laureate's reaction on the hijab ban in Karnataka. She condemns this ban, calling this horrifying. Of course, the women rights activist comment on this has erupted quite a stir. Malala, in fact, took to Twitter, calling this move of not allowing hijab inside schools and colleges is horrifying. She wrote, "Colleges forcing girls to choose between studies and hijab." She's added that objectifying or objectification of women persists for wearing less or more. The Nobel laureate urged the Indian leaders to stop the marginalization of Muslim women. A Twitter war has soon erupted over Malala's comments. Hindu rights activists replied to Malala's tweet saying, "For once, maybe use your voice for the women being jailed, lashed, attacked and killed for protesting the hijab and the Taliban." BJP leader Manjinder Singh Sirsa too has attacked Malala for not speaking on other significant issues like forced conversion of minor Hindu Sikh girls in Pakistan. Meanwhile, Pakistan Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi has reacted on this hijab controversy. He's in fact claimed that this is India's plan of ghettoization of Muslims. He's also accused the Indian government of oppressing and terrorizing Muslim girls. Now, I'm going to cut across to Akshata Nandagopal, who spoke a little earlier with Rashmi Sawant, the former president of Oxford Union, and activist Seema Mohsin, who's also the General Secretary, Welfare Party of India, on Malala's reaction and her participation in comments condemning the hijab ban in India. Here's a listen.
Rashmi, I'd like to begin with you. What's your reaction to Malala's tweet there about all that's playing out right now in Karnataka?
I think it reeks of hypocrisy because she's never spoken out before about such issues when it's not convenient for her. And the second thing being that her tweet just legitimizes and whitewashes all of the suffering that Muslim women around the world are going through for protesting the hijab. Secondly, I think she lacks a lot of context when it comes to Udupi. I was born and raised there, and I know of the ground reality. It's so far away from what she perceives it from the UK. Currently, Muslim leaders in Udupi are being threatened for taking a stand against the hijab controversy and for supporting uniform in schools. So this is the ground reality. People are being threatened, they are being forced by extremist forces. So it's not a question of, whether women are being allowed to be educated or not. So she's taken it completely out of context and highly politicized the whole issue.
Okay,
And
I want to discuss...
I think she shouldn't be doing this because it's very young girls who are at the forefront of this.
Rashmi, we'll discuss also some other points you made, but I want to pick up what you said about this being hypocrisy and take this across to Shima. Shima, this is something that has been said of Malala several times, that she handpicks issues, that there's selective outrage. Why doesn't she speak about what's happening, the atrocities that are happening against minorities in POK? Why doesn't she speak about how Muslims are discriminated against in China? Why doesn't she outrage over what's happening in Afghanistan? Why does she keep handpicking issues is often the criticism that Malala faces?
Malala, what she speaks is for herself. Right, there is a choice of her whether she can speak on certain issues or not. Whether she is being selective of certain topics or not is completely her choice. Again, just as how hijab is a choice, whether the Muslim girls want to wear it or not, and that kind of restrictions that is being made and the hooliganism that we are seeing in the educational institutions is completely not okay. And to speak about what is happening of late is something that is really paining me so much, that the place where the education institution should foster inclusion, should foster tolerance, there these children are, instead of attending these things, they are going up.
Right, this is day 2 of the Karnataka Hijab face-off hearing. The hearing has resumed in the Karnataka High Court, and the judge has said, and I quote it here, would like to refer the matter to a larger bench. That is the first word coming in from the court. Remember, this is day 2, taking on from yesterday, from how the petitioner side had said there has to be religion, essential freedom, that also has to be involved. The judge appears to have said now would like to refer this matter to the larger bench. We'll try and get you exactly the updates coming in from the Karnataka High Court, and Nolan Pinto tracking all the latest. Nolan, take us through what exactly has said, because it appears judges saying would like to refer this to the larger bench. What does that mean?
Well, Pooja, he says, I want to quote him. He says, I feel this matter requires consideration of the larger bench. The wisdom emanating from neighboring High Court judgments needs to be treated. And then he says, if you feel and all agree, I can do this. Now, this is because yesterday the stand of the Karnataka government before the court is this, that students should not wear religious symbols in educational institutions. This is what the Karnataka government told the High Court. Now, and yesterday, Senior Advocate David Kamath completed arguments for the petitioners, and it was expected that the Advocate General would actually respond to all that today. But now with the judge actually stating this, we are to wait and see whether both the parties, that is the Advocate General representing the government of Karnataka and also Senior Advocate Kamath representing the petitioners, agree to this.
What are the petitioners saying, Nolan? What have they said yesterday, and how precisely are we expecting that also to be taken into consideration?
Well, in fact, yesterday they focused on issues relating to, one, is hijab, wearing of hijab integral to Islam? Point two, is the hijab a facet of the fundamental right to freedom of speech and expression? And three, with the government order, the GO that was issued on Saturday by the Karnataka government, did the government of Karnataka overstep its authority? So basically they were focusing on these issues, public order, various debates took place, various arguments, and that is one of the reasons why. And also, Pooja, he referred, that is the petitioner's advocate referred to various High Court and Supreme Court judgments, not just in India and also cases from abroad. That is one of the reasons many believe that Justice Krishna S Dixit says he feels that this requires consideration.
And what is the government argument here? What is the government affidavit that India Today also has access of, is stating why, according to them, there needs to be a uniform that cannot allow a headscarf? What is the reason for the veils to not be allowed?
Well, in fact, the government came out with this affidavit, which was in February. The main points are these. Point one, while discharging the constitutional obligation of imparting education, the state has to prescribe a secular uniform dress code for the students. This is what they stated. Second, they said prescribing the uniform also flows from the fundamental duty cast in the state under Articles 14 and 46 of the Constitution, and that every religion and caste will have their own beliefs, faith, practice, but they also make the point that many of the countries abroad have adopted this viewpoint, and following the same dress code in educational institutions amounts to basically uniformity and also discipline. So this is what the government actually has filed in its affidavit that India Today has access.
All right, so Nolan Pinto tracking all the latest. Nolan, stay on with me, because just as a few minutes ago, the hearing that resumed in the Karnataka High Court, the day 2 of a very strong and sensitive issue that's now escalated and blown out of proportion. Other states also are witnessing protests and agitations. Nolan is telling us that it appears that the judge has intended that this could be referred to a larger bench. What happens now? Do we await a response from both sides? Is there going to be an argument that will be heard today at all in the court? Because this is about essential to Islam, essential to religion, a matter of choice. And what the government is saying, that there is a uniform that all schools have, colleges have, and that, if at all is there, that uniform has to be followed. So what are we expecting now?
Well, in fact, the Advocate General has spoken. He says that the only question is whether a present assertion of right of hijab is an essential part of religion. Now, he also adds that the issue has become a larger issue and everybody is looking up to the court for a decision. This is what the Advocate General is saying. And he says, my submission is that my learned friend has completed the argument. Now it is for the state to argue, and then it is for the court to adjudicate. We are looking at an early decision. That's my submission. So it looks like the Karnataka government wants Justice Dixit to actually hear the arguments that the Advocate General will put forth, and also they are looking for an early decision, because if, like what the Justice Dixit has requested, that this be referred to a larger bench, then that will take time, and the Karnataka government, seeing what is happening across the state and all the districts, we have seen the Galata, the problems, the protests, the lathi charge, the stone pelting. The Karnataka government would want an early decision, yes or no, but that is what they want.
So precisely, that's my next question, Nolan. Time is of essence because the Chief Minister of the state, Basavaraj Bommai, has already decided to shut schools and colleges, especially where these protests are on, for the next 3 days. The students have already said they are missing out on exams that are all set. Some are even already set for the practical examinations, and the girls with the headscarves and veils are claiming they're not even being allowed even for the practical examination. So the time is of very importance right now, while the petitioners' lawyers are saying girls only have 2 months. And of course, the government is saying the ban will continue. What happens here on? Because as you're telling us, both sides have at least had some time to speak. So if this goes to a larger bench, that means there will be another date set, or there could be an urgency factor that could be brought in here.
Well, in fact, Pooja, the senior advocate Sajjan Kuvaya, who's representing another petitioner, says,
yes.
I want to quote him again, he says, do not exclude them today. We need to find a way that no girl child is deprived of education. And as far as reference to a larger bench is concerned, it is the court's decision, but the petitioners, the children, they have only 2 months left for the present academic year. He also says the questions raised in the WP are squarely in the Lordship's roster. Therefore, Lordship may, after hearing parties, render judgment. Reference to larger bench, not necessary. So it doesn't look like both the Advocate General as well as the petitioners' advocates over here are for a larger bench. Because again, I just want to just quote what the Advocate General stated. He says, we are looking at an early decision. That's my submission.
All right. So, of course, both sides, interestingly, are stating that they are looking for an early decision on this. And even the petitioner's side is stating that the girl child should not be deprived of education, because that side is also coming in now. What happens to the examination that is scheduled in some of these colleges? And these are pre-university colleges, Nolan. So that means this would be sort of what we have, the 11th, 12th standard as well, plus beyond that, the classes. So this would be the academic year ending. And as of now, are you picking up anything latest coming in from the court? Or can we say right now that is the last reference point that has come, an observation from the judge that this could be referred to the larger bench, and they are now looking at a reaction from both sides. And interestingly, both the advocates representing the government and the petitioner have said they are looking for an early disposal, an early decision, specifically because while the government feels they need to have it now on record, while the petitioner side is saying they don't have much time. There is examination pending and we need to have a clarity on this, and girls' education is getting deprived. Nolan.
Well, Pooja, in fact, the Advocate General has now stated that we are keen, I want to quote him, we are keen to have an adjudication at the earliest. There may be emotions outside the court, but the question of law is to be decided by the court. And Senior Advocate Hegde, who's representing one of the petitioners, says the issue is from my hometown, from Udupi. I studied in the MGM College for 5 years. I may be able to persuade your lordship. So it doesn't look like both the sides are in agreement with Justice Dixit, looking for sending this matter, referring this matter to a larger bench. Both sides want.
Yes.
So yesterday, Advocate Kamath completed his argument. Today, the Advocate General actually wants to complete his arguments. He says it's his time, but that a decision should be taken today itself, because there are a lot of things at stake.
All right, very interesting. If you've just tuned in, what we are bringing to you from the Karnataka High Court is that while the hearing had resumed and the arguments were being heard, it appeared that the judge of the High Court had said that because of the manner in which these arguments are heading, that they would like to refer it to a larger bench. But as of now, it appears both sides are stating that they would like an early decision, which means that they are stating they would like a single bench to take a decision on this. It's very interesting how this is panning out, and Nolan is tracking all the latest on that. Nolan, till we have another reaction and another observation coming in from the court, and how does this really proceed? Because our viewers must know, if it goes to a larger bench, possibly there would be another date to it, arguments may begin again, so that will take some time for that final order to also come. And because this is legal jargon, Nolan, I want our viewers and also myself to also understand how both sides are reflecting, because at least they have one agreement that this needs an early disposal. They need an early decision. And likely they are saying if that can happen, they would be in agreement to that. But what, quickly to tell us the 2 points coming in from the government side, which stays defiant on the restriction on the ban of the uniform, which they are saying is a secular uniform, while the petitioner saying there is a religious aspect plus girls' education being deprived.
Well, in fact, Pooja, I thought I have some new updates now just coming in over here as of now. Senior advocate Hegde, who's representing another one of the petitioners, says, is there a power to prescribe a uniform and has it been properly prescribed? If there is such a power to exercise here, I have a presentation ready. He says today what is absolutely important is that peace comes, constitutional fraternity returns to the college. No heavens will fall for 2 months if there is a via media and modest that the state can file which does not involve any concession or any right. Let children get back to school. So what he's trying to say basically as of now is for 2 months, it's just 2 months, April 16th is the timetable was released. April 16th is when the exams actually begin for the students. Mathematics is their first paper over there. This is what yesterday also, before the start, when the hearing just began in the morning, the advocate representing the petitioners had actually requested, saying that at least for 2 months, let it go on like this. Let the students, let their education not be disturbed. But the state had stated, had actually disagreed to this, saying that they have to follow the rules. They are not against their education, but a uniform is what is compulsory. So it is because of that, with the state not agreeing to the request made by the petitioner's advocate, that this case actually began. So as of now, we can clearly see while Justice Dixit has actually suggested the idea of a larger bench, it does not look like both sides are in agreement to that. They actually want to hear the Advocate General's presentation today, his argument, and they want an order today itself.
Stay on with me, Nolan. I want to quickly go across to Akshita Nandgopal. Akshita, because you've been speaking to different sides, it's such a communally polarizing issue right now, sensitive as well, and the court, of course, all eyes will be on what the High Court decides. So what exactly has happened now? Because we were expecting arguments to continue specifically from the government side today, but it appears that for now it could be actually referred to a larger bench. What happens then? What are both sides saying right now?
Well, at this point, it's still a suggestion from the High Court, from the judge, Pooja, and he's seeking everyone's opinion on this. As Nolan pointed out, all petitioners, as well as at this point, the state government, they've all maintained that they want an order at the earliest, which means that they're opposing it being sent across to a larger bench. Right now, at this point, in the High Court, you've got Sanjay Hegde, senior lawyer, who is arguing, this is on behalf of the petitioner, what they're essentially pushing for is what we discussed yesterday, saying there's 2 months to end in this academic year. Let students wear what they want. Let the students wear hijab. And that's exactly what Hegde has said. He's saying no heavens will fall for the next 2 months. Today, what's absolutely important is that peace comes. Constitutional fraternity returns to the college. And he's also said, let children get back to school. Interestingly, Hegde has also pointed out that he is from Udupi and that he studied in the same college, the MGM college, which is where protests happened yesterday for 5 years. I may be able to persuade your lordship. So that's Sanjay Hegde's argument there. But he's essentially saying, again, pushing, saying for 2 months, why can't the state government just relax this norm and then revisit this issue? The academic year will end by then. He's saying stop, ensure that education isn't hampered in the process. Let this academic year get over. But so far, going by what the state government said yesterday, Pooja, they said that they're in no mood to entertain any such demand. Even 2 months, they're not okay with. They've made it very clear that whatever the uniform code is prescribed by the college, that must be followed, and that the state government will not step in any way on that.
So, of course, the government appears very defiant, Akshita is telling us, but what the petitioner and senior lawyer Sanjay Hegde, representing the petitioner side, is saying that 2 months are just left. At least let that pass and then a final decision likely can be taken. We have more reactions coming in. Akshita, stay on with me because I'm also now joined by Mustafa. Because remember, at this point, these agitations and protests are spreading beyond Karnataka. Mustafa, over to you. Where are you? What are you picking up from the site?
Well, we are just outside the PU Girls College. This is the college where the hijab row started in Udupi, and you can see as the government had announced the gates of the college are shut. We are seeing some policemen present inside the campus of the college so that there is no law and order issue. We also just a few moments ago went to the press conference taken by the Campus Front of India, who are in turn blaming the other right-wing organizations or student unions led by BJP. So it really seems like an issue which started here at this small college, which is the only girls-only college of Udupi, and then it has went on in the entire state, and it has now become a student issue versus a political issue, and so much so that the bench which was hearing this matter is also suggesting that it should go to a larger bench, which means there is a larger question.
There's some girls playing, and it's such a beautiful sight to see students back into their classrooms. Is it then right now that if they are wearing a veil, they would not be allowed, otherwise the school is open? What are you picking up from the institution there? Or these are classes below that?
Well, these are classes below that. Actually,
Okay.
The higher classes are classes where the entire issue had snowballed, and hence the holidays has been allowed. But the school and some classes are functional, yes.
All right, Mustafa, thank you for getting us that ground status. What you are looking at, that pre-university college, which comes across as 11th, 12th class, that there were some restrictions, but at least for now, we know that it's only snowballing, and there are press conferences also being organized. I want to quickly go across to all our colleagues now. Nolan Pinto, Akshata Nandagopal, Mustafa is on the ground. Nolan, any update coming in from the Karnataka High Court? Because the suggestion of the larger bench, but both the petitioner side and specifically the petitioner side stating that I believe that we'll be able to persuade the Lordship and we would like to be heard right now. Even the government advocates stating the same. Akshata Nandagopal also continues to be with us, and I'll quickly go back to Nolan in just a short while. So what does this mean, Akshata? Because this, as I was asking earlier, time is of essence. It is about the 2 months, because if these girls wearing the veil do not go back into the classrooms, what happens to the examinations? What happens to the course and the studies they have to manage in these at least next few weeks? And of course this, while protests are breaking out in other states.
What's happening in the Karnataka High Court is that despite the fact that two of the lawyers representing the petitioners and the state government saying they don't want this case to be delayed further, they don't want it to be referred to a larger bench, the High Court judge has again reiterated that it's wiser to let the larger bench hear this matter, to which Advocate Kamath, Devdutt Kamath, who's been representing the petitioners in this case yesterday as well, says we have complete faith with the institution, be it with any judge. The state government in response has said what we're concerned about is an early hearing of the matter. The issue reflects law and order, and hence, they want an early hearing. Ultimately, the Attorney General there is saying it's the prerogative of the court, and that's what exactly the AG has said here. So the state government maintaining time and again that they want an immediate order from the High Court, considering all that's happening right now on the ground also in Karnataka. Remember that the state government has said time and again, Pooja,
yes,
that their next course of action is going to be decided based on what the Karnataka High Court said. So it's not surprising really that they're saying at this point, let's ensure an early resolution, let's ensure an immediate order from the High Court as well. Now, besides that, the AG is saying here and has cited a number of judgments, the Triple Talaq case, the Shreya Banu judgment. Using that, you've got the state government representative saying that the post that says post that judgment, we don't have much on personal law and constitutional codes. So it looks like right now the state government is presenting their arguments, because remember that yesterday you had Advocate Kamath, who's representing one of the petitioners, citing a number of judgments from the Kerala High Court as well to state that a precedent has been set where hijabs are allowed, and based on that now you've got the state government arguing that that's not the case. As far as personal law is concerned, the only judgment that they can refer to is the Shreya Banu judgment, the Triple Talaq case. So that's also an interesting update.
Akshata Nandagopal telling us all the latest. Remember, now the AG stating this could become a law and order issue as well, and that is why they're requesting and urging for a possible early disposal. And the petitioner also stating that time is of essence and girls' education must not suffer. Take a look on your screens. Our reporters on the ground with all the updates. Nolan Pinto tracking the court. Akshata Nandagopal with the updates and the perspective on the ground. Meanwhile, Shija there in Udupi, and also Mustafa Sheikh in Karnataka telling us what is happening right outside the colleges that are shut, specifically specifically where the protests have broken out. I now want to go across to my colleague Nabila Jamal. She's also on the ground and has been tracking all the latest and talking to women from across the views that are coming in. Over to you, Nabila.
Right, even as the court takes up the hearing now, it appears that the petitioner's lawyer there, Sanjay Hegde, remember, is from Udupi. He studied in the MGM college, and that's the influence that he's using in court there, Pooja. He's insisting that since he studied there, he studied there for 5 years, he has more of an influence to appeal for a faster hearing, considering that this entire belt here, let me tell you where I am at Udupi, Mangaluru, the entire coastal region is generally a volatile hotbed. A situation like this can quickly escalate to issues that we do not want to imagine. A situation like this need to be nipped at the bud. A petition was filed by these girls in the High Court. It's been close to 2 weeks now. They've been shunned out of classes. They've not been allowed to attend their classes. Not even online classes has been granted to them by the state government. And that's what's slightly disturbing, that it's not just these girls who are protesting, but also the counter-protesters, those who are wearing saffron shawls, who are standing outside colleges. They've not been allowed inside classes either. So we're looking at the entire academic year, which is nearly close to completion. In the next 2 months, we're looking at exams fast approaching. Yet the state government seems mighty adamant of not allowing the students come in wearing the religion on their sleeve, particularly the hijab. They've insisted a ban. Even saffron shawls are not allowed. Now, we see that the court is, of course, hearing the matter still. We see Justice Dixit also on the same page, asking for a quick hearing, considering the situation is quite tense here in the Udupi coastal Mangaluru region. We're looking at schools and colleges in entire Karnataka. The Karnataka state government taking cognizance of the massive protests that heated up in parts of Mandya, Shimoga, in parts of Belagavi as well, and of course coastal Karnataka. We had a ripple effect even in the city, Bengaluru as well. Looking at the condition here and the kind of escalation that this has triggered, the Karnataka government, Chief Minister Basuraj Bommai, decided to call off schools and colleges for the next 3 days. So we're really looking, all eyes are on this judgment. Can we really afford to delay a judgment on this is the question. It appears that both the lawyers there are, of course,
Nabila, stay on with me because Nabila is on the ground and she's assessing the ground situation, the court. Remember, the time will be a matter here. All my colleagues there tracking different aspects.